Namaskar. Hello and welcome to PGurus channel. I'm your host Sri Iyer. This is a morning transmission of PGurus, and joining me is Savio Rodrigues as we examine two things that have been lingering around India for perhaps too long. One is the colonial hangover and the other is the Christian bias. We're going to have a heart-to-heart talk with Savio as to why the Christians of Karnataka completely voted BJP out. I mean, this is something that has been nagging in my mind. I'm sure many of you are wondering why such an educated, erudite, literate community would listen to its padres and vote in a certain way. But let's welcome the guest of the day, Savio Rodrigues. Savio, namaskar and welcome to PGurus channel.
Namaskar. Thank you, Sri. It's always a pleasure to be on your show.
Thank you, Savio. I'm in a bit of a, I'm on a roll right now, so I'm just trying to get all my questions out at you right away. So first thing is, talk to us a little bit about Pramod Sawant's remarks about the Portuguese. On the one side, he said something. On the other side, he said the exact opposite. Or at least the inference seems to be opposite. Talk to us a little bit about that, and then we'll go to the second part, which is Karnataka.
Okay. The first most important thing for us to understand, Sri, and for people watching this transmission and program, is that you cannot be blind to the truth, and you cannot be blind to history. So Portuguese or Portugal rule was a very integral part of Goa. There were good that people looked at, but there was also brutality. That brutality somehow, over the years, seems to have been negated. But that brutality did exist. The Goa Inquisition is a reality. Indigenous people of Goa were put under torture, were brutalized, primarily because they were considered to be heretics. They were people that were forced into conversions. Now that's the truth. You can't change that. That's a part of our history. Now you could say that the Portuguese has given us certain crops. Portuguese have brought certain architectural skills to Goa. Portuguese have brought a certain flavor to Goa as far as cuisine is concerned, as far as music is concerned, as far as various aspects of what is embedded in many people in Goa is concerned. But you cannot change the fact that there was also brutality, right? So today, in my description, I've always seen colonizers as people who ran a harem, and the people in those colonized areas were basically treated as prostitutes. I'm sorry to be as blunt as possible, but that's the best example I can give. So just because you're living in a beautifully designed harem, just because you are clothed with some of the best clothes, just because you're given certain freedoms in your harem, that doesn't change the fact that you are being victimized by the person who's put you inside the harem. Right? What colonization is all about. So when Dr. Pramod Sawant has made the statement, I don't know the reason why he made the statement. But I can understand that he is not looking at Indo-Portuguese relationship as such. Because today, in the present, India and Portugal have very strong relationships. But you cannot deny the past. And the past was brutal. There are many families, many Hindu families. If you actually sit down and talk to them, you would see that many Hindu families had to leave Goa, take their Kul Devas and Kul Devtas and move out of Goa.
We seem to have just had a drop in.
I'm here.
So sorry about that. You are just dropping off.
So
I think now you are okay.
Families,
yeah, audio is fine. Okay, so viewers, if you could like this program, because the crux of the topic that we are going to be discussing is just coming up, and I'd like you to all like this video and have more virality for this video. Unfortunately, yeah, Savio, go ahead, continue, please.
Yeah, my apologies, Sri. I think some people just don't like you and I talking because yours is
I know
that I have internet problems with. Okay. So coming back to what is the reality? The reality were certain Hindu families had to move away from Goa, take their Kul Devtas and move because they were under torture. They were facing atrocities, and that's the reality. So is Pramod Sawant wrong in saying that, hey, we have to erase the history? He's not talking about the past as such. He is talking about the fact that it is necessary that those temples that were destroyed, those temples that were crushed, those people who ran away with their Kul Devtas, at least give them the opportunity to come back to places of their birth and to put their Kul Devtas in the places of their origin. That is one. There are several people today who have good opinion about the Portuguese. Several people today that who believe that yes, we are Portuguese. Goans who believe that they are Portuguese, and I'm okay with that. But what I'm not okay with, and what people should not be okay with, is that while you might have admiration for the Portuguese, you cannot deny the fact that they were brutal with the indigenous people of Goa. What you also cannot deny is that while you like Portugal, you cannot insult India. You cannot consider India to be lesser than Portugal. Because right now, Goa is a part of India, and Goa was always a part of India until we had the Portuguese rulers, right? So the colonial hangover is what I believe the CM was addressing. The colonial hangover in Goa in certain pockets do exist, and it does exist. There are people who will take Portuguese citizenship but talk about issues relating to Goa and comment on how bad Goa is, or the administration is, or how bad the Indian administration is. When you've taken your Portuguese citizenship and you've decided to live as a Portuguese, I don't think you have any rights in India anymore. It's as simple as that. We don't have dual citizenship right now, number one. And even if you have the rights because of a genuine affection, like some of the NRIs that you have abroad, then you have to make that difference in contributing. The Portuguese were a part of history. You cannot erase history, but you can learn from history. You can learn from history that it is important to plan for the future in the present, knowing what your history was. Goa, because of the Inquisition, because of the atrocities that neo-Christians, Gnostic Christians, Hindus, in particular the Brahmins faced, needs to have a reconciliation. There is an imminent need for a reconciliation in Goa on the horrors that existed. Just like you had the Jews go through their process of torture during Nazi Germany rule, the same thing is a reality in Goa too. So you cannot deny it. My problem with people is that everything was hunky-dory. Everything in Portuguese was great. Look at their roads, look at their construction. And I said, well, great. But they were not a part of this land. They were not sons and daughters of this land.
Savio, I have come to Goa before and after CHOGM, CHOGM, Commonwealth Heads of Meeting. Remember that? Yes. Before that, there was only one track, one lane road connecting Vasco da Gama with Panjim. And if there is one lorry failing on that, you had the traffic stuck for hours on end. That event really opened up Goa for development. You had massive reconstruction, infrastructure, and hotels and tourism and what have you. And Goa changed for the better right after that. So I think all these things, do happen. So Portuguese, maybe they were okay as long as, maybe compared to, I don't know how they compare with British, because among the colonizers also, the British are considered the best colonizers, with the French coming next, then the Spanish, and fourth is the Portuguese. I mean, this is something that has been written up. I could be wrong about the order, but colonizer is a colonizer, right? They want
to be brutally honest, to be brutally honest. Many people gloss over the Goa Inquisition that happened. Many people gloss over the atrocities of the Portuguese because British controlled a larger part of India and Goa was very small for people to pay attention. Please understand that Goa at that point of time, actually, because of the revenues earned from Goa, a lot of the Portuguese colonization actually got benefited by the revenues made in Goa itself. In fact, Lisbon was run by revenues earned from out of Goa, as per reports that were there at that point of time. Now the point is, do we deny it? Do we close our eyes to the fact that it happened? The answer is no. But the children of today cannot be held responsible for the evils of their ancestors.
Absolutely.
Right? That's point number one. Point number two is, today India and Portugal are working cohesively together, realizing that the geopolitical situation necessitates the need for us to be together so that both nations benefit. Right? Third, is there a need to correct the colonial hangover in certain Goans who believe that they are more Portuguese? Well, the blood is thicker than the water, Sri. So if some people think that their Portuguese blood is far more thicker than Indian in blood, then they should choose that option and live where they want to. You can't sail in two boats. That is even what the Bible has said, that you can't sail in two boats. You can't serve two masters. Right? So choose one. If you like Portugal, you are most welcome to live in Portugal. If you like Goa, which is now a part of India and was always a part of India, just for that brief period, then love India and go for what it is. Make the difference here. So what the CM said, I have no reason to doubt that he was talking about the immense colonial hangover that does exist. Whether that interpretation will have a negative impact with people, again, is what a person wants to look at it at. Some people are talking about, the crops that Portuguese brought, the education that Portuguese brought, the various different aspects of what Portugal brought. And I'm saying, yes, that's all true. But so does the owner of a harem do that to the concubines inside that harem. You're not doing anybody a favor. Portugal was not doing the indigenous people a favor. If they wanted to do the indigenous people of India a favor, the Hindus a favor, they should not have tortured them. They should not have converted them. The Goa Inquisition was a deliberate act, and enforced on the people of Goa, which is why today they are converted. My ancestors could have been converted, or my ancestors could have been Sephardic Jews that came and stayed in Goa. But today I believe I'm an Indian, and I appreciate that aspect because that's what my parents brought me up to believe. Not to believe that I'm a Portuguese, right? If you're a Portuguese, you're most welcome to go to Portugal. I'm sure it's a great place, and then you can go to London and do what you want, which of you people do. So the thing is, how do we look at India-Portugal relationship in the present? And I think they are very strong relationships, and we will build on it. The past, learn from it, and move ahead, so that we don't fall prey to what happened in the past. Colonization has a different face right now. Imperialism has a different face right now. They are coming in different formats. Now the US is the main colonizer in different forms. China is a colonizer in different forms. But economics are what is now the form of colonization that is happening. And as beautifully described by a Singaporean stand-up comedian, he says, where does the word colonization come from? And I'm not getting his name right now, but it's a very beautiful description. Crude, but beautiful. He says, colonization comes from the word colon. And colon, the role of a colon in a body of a human being is to primarily process shit. Right? So the process of colonization was Britain and Portugal bringing their shit into different nations that they thought was manure to that particular land. But in all actuality, it was shit. Right? So the Portuguese people with Portuguese hangover and colonial hangover need to book a ticket and fly all the way to Portugal, and we will continue to share our love with them with no hate, with absolute love, because that's what we people of Goa do. We love everyone.
Thank you for that. And now let's take a quick look at the neighboring state of Karnataka. What we are hearing now is that just like the Muslims, the Christians of Karnataka voted en masse against the BJP. There is nothing wrong in having a certain political ideology, but see, there's a slight difference. The economic status of Muslims is much lower than that of Christians. Christians have done well as a community. They are model citizens. They run a lot of educational institutions, very broad-minded, and they have accomplished. And yet, this anomaly of mine, their voting pattern, kind of concerns me a little bit. If the BJP did okay, I mean, they didn't harm anyone. They were trying to essentially, make sure that everybody got the same set of benefits in COVID. There was no extra provisions or less provisions because you happen to be in a certain religion. So why this irrational bias against the BJP? That's what I'd like to know.
It's not an irrational bias, Sri. I'll tell you what it really is. And that is what we as BJP and I think we as citizens need to address. For years, ever since conversion has become a platform of spreading one's religion in India, fear has been the tool against what is the indigenous religion in that country. Okay? So, what do I mean by that? That if you are a converted Christian or you've been converted or your ancestors were converted, you've been told for years on years that the Hindu belief, the Hindu faith, people of the Hindu faith are questionable and you need to be careful about them. Number one. Organizations connected to the Hindu faith that are pro-Hindu faith, like the BJP a political organization, RSS, a social organization, Vishnu Hindu Parishad, again a social organization, Bajrang Dal, a social organization. All these organizations that espouse the protection of Hindu religion or what they term as aggressive domination of Hindu religion are seen with a question mark all the time. So, religious leaders, seniors within the Christian community, both at the upper caste level or the lower caste level, because whether you accept it or not, caste is a predominant factor in Christianity in India as well. I'll give you an example, or I'll simplify the understanding. Just as many people relate to the caste play out in Hindu religions, in Christian religions they follow the same practice. So the upper caste, which is for best description the Brahmin community, controls the church, which means they donate lands, they donate revenue funds for building of churches and the running of churches and things like that. And the church controls the lower caste through its sermons, through its conversions, through its reach out, through healthcare, through education, all that. It's very similar to what happens in the Hindu faith as well. So it's a continuity of that. So a lot of people at the upper caste level and the lower caste level within the Hindu community, within the Christian community, for years have been told that the enemy to your faith are going to be Islamists and are going to be Hindus. And because Hindus are a majority in the country, they will be a threat to your faith. Therefore, when what is portrayed to be a Hindu majority party, when an RSS, which is really a nationalistic organization, but is seen as predominantly focused on Hindu related concerns, then there is a fear psychosis created in society. So when the anti-conversion bill was talked about in Karnataka, you had a lot of the Christian community, including Archbishop Peter Machado, making extremely strong statements, raising certain points which he thought to be valid to object to the anti-conversion bill, was one of the predominant reasons where the Christian felt that our faith could be in danger, when that is not the truth. But you can't change a fear psychosis that has been created. So when church leaders like Anil Kuto in 2018 came out and said that the constitution is in danger, democracy is in danger, the people within the Christian community, educated though they may be, still felt that maybe what the priest or the senior leaders of the Catholic Church are saying could be true. Then you had certain flare up of issues that were pertaining to atrocities towards the Christian community. And I have pointed it out earlier also that out of 495 cases that were there in 1 year, about 200 plus, 230 plus were not even registered in a competent authority's place. 75 were disputes about family property and COVID-related fights. The remaining were registered cases which are being investigated. Are you telling me there are no atrocities in the rest of the world? Can I give the audience data which I've done numerously? So why do the church leaders come out and say that Christians are in danger? They do more damage to the Christian population. Christians today in the past have contributed extensively to nation building, and they do. But the fear psychosis is we are in danger, let's not vote for BJP. Therefore, what I've always suggested is I don't believe in appeasement politics. But what I do believe that there needs to be outreach politics between the BJP leaders and the Christian community to address these fear psychosis and give them hope. Because even out of the, say, 100% people that are there, 20-25% might still be with the BJP. To increase that to about 40-50%, you need to have outreach programs that are not only appeasement based, but people who are practically understanding what that fear is. That fear might not be real, but to them it is real. We might think that, the Christians are talking about stopping conversion. Let me tell you for a fact, most Christians don't care about conversions.
Well, see, you have to look at it on denomination by denomination, Savio. Some denominations are very aggressive in converting, some are not.
Correct. So
it's possible that the Christians in Goa, the denominations in Goa may not be, but that doesn't hold good for others. I'm just making an observation.
I'm agree. Yeah. I'm not saying all, but most Christians don't really care about conversion. Christian leaders, especially the evangelical types, the Pentecostal types, the believers type, they definitely survive on conversions. So there has to be a distinction between understanding. See, the problem is you cannot put everybody in the same bracket.
Of course.
That is why that bridge, that outreach is important. Right? Is Pastor George Punya wrong? Pastor George Punya should be thrown out of this country for his views. He's not an Indian in his mindset at all. There are certain pastors that are there in Punjab that demonize Hindu gods and all. These are people who need to be shown the law. They need to face the law. But a person's individual faith, when he's an adult, is his own choice. The anti-conversion bill, which was brought in Karnataka, in my opinion, was not a bad bill at all. But maybe the communication, the dialogue with the community, the Christian community or others, needed to have been more assertive to show them where the danger is. Today, Kerala is seeing the danger. Sri, that is why Kerala is opening itself to the BJP government and creating bridges between them. The Kerala community, the Christian community in Kerala were the first to raise the voice of love jihad. Why did they do that? Because they are afraid of being redundant in Kerala. They are afraid of losing their children to Islamic jihad, to love jihad. So fear is the basis of everything going on. So it is important for BJP, it is important for RSS to work with church leaders, to work with the community, to assuage that fear. Because Christians do contribute to India and they made us proud immensely. So my job as a leader from the Christian community with the faith with my Christian faith, but my roots being so entrenched into Sanatan Dharma is to build a bridge. I'm willing to listen to anybody in the Christian community who says that they want to build a bridge.
We seem to have just lost Savio momentarily. Let's wait for a minute before he reconnects. In the meantime, we're going to have some questions answered. Please do like this video and please also subscribe to our channel if you have not already done so. You need to also click on the bell button for notifications. Savio is still not online. I think he's going to come back online. I don't know what happened. He's just left the Savio has left the building. He will be re-entering the building very soon. And viewers, this is a very interesting topic. Only Savio is brave to talk about it. He has admitted some of the shortcomings and the short-sightedness, perhaps, of some of the people. And he is really trying hard to build that bridge, be that one communicator who understands both sides and says, okay, this is where we should meet and this is where we can agree to disagree, but we need to agree also on many of the things. One of the things is the citizenship of a country. That is absolute. So that's where things are. I'm hoping that he'll join us any minute. It's possible that there is a power outage too. These things do happen. There he is. He's back again.
Can you hear me?
Yes. Go ahead.
I'm sorry,
Right.
Sri. I think somebody doesn't like you and me together. It's weird. I do shows with everyone. I don't have an internet problem. Anyway, so the point I'm trying to make is that as a leader of the BJP, of Christian faith and Sanatan Dharma values, it is my job to build bridges between the Christian community and the Indian government and the BJP. It is my honest appeal to Christians that if you have problems with the BJP, please bring those problems to our notice, to my notice if you want to reach, so that we can understand what your fears are and address it as responsible leaders of the country. But Christians are an integral part of India and they contribute to nation building. And if there is a genuine fear that needs to be addressed, it is incumbent on us to do it. I don't believe in appeasement politics, and that is something I will never subscribe to. But if somebody in my community is afraid or is led to be made afraid of my government, it is my duty to ensure that that fear turns into hope by correcting any misconception. And if we have done anything wrong, then at least have that confidence in somebody like me to address it with the government and the right people to solve that wrong. But to live with grudge, to live with fear, and to think that BJP is against the Christians or the Christians are in danger in their own motherland, it's not the right perception to have, it's not the right feeling to have. Because India is my mother too. It's every Christian's mother who believes.
Thank you so much, Savio. Let's see if we can take some questions now.
Yes.
Thank you. Raghunandan, Savio, they acted on behalf of what is written in the Bible. So Christ has ordered all of his followers to kill pagans and pagans, whatever, and all whom don't follow his path. Your view on it?
I don't think, okay, firstly, I don't know which Christ you're referring to, because I know Jesus, and Jesus's texts were only in the New Testament. And in the New Testament, attributed directly to Jesus, there is no such statement that said kill the pagans. Number one. Jesus really gave two commandments, which was love God with all your heart and all your soul and love your neighbor as yourself. He said primarily to go out and spread the good word, to preach the good word. He didn't, and to make them, I have made you fishermen of men and women, is what he said, which predominantly meant that take the good news, take what I've taught you and take it to the rest of the world. That Christianity became a religion afterwards is completely got to do with what is Paul's idea of Christianity at that point of time. So we need to be able to understand it as intellectuals and people who study religion, that could be attributed to Jesus' teachings vis-a-vis what is attributed to the entire Catholic Church teachings and various different apostles. And Paul had a very, very strong opinion on how Christianity should have spread across the rest of the world. Right? So that's answer to your question.
Next question, please. Rishikesh Tale wants to know, there's a simple question to be asked here. Nation or religion first? What's the way around to bringing a realization in the communities about being a patriot first?
That is through outreach programs, which is what I'm talking about. See, there are many people within the Christian community who can contribute to nation building, but very little is spoken about them. Very little of Christians participate in political discourse. There are considerable that participate from other states in
I think we lost him again. We're going to make this the last question because we're having some connectivity issues. And let's just wait for a few seconds here to see if he reconnects. Otherwise, we'll have to bring this event to a close at this point of time. I'm checking to see what is happening on the back end. Just give me 1 minute. Yeah, he's trying to reconnect, and if it doesn't work, we'll probably call it quits at this point of time. Sorry for the two other questions that were not answered. I'm trying to see if Savio will reconnect here. And I hope you all subscribe to this channel as well as like this video. Some of the things that I can try and answer while we are what is this the reason they have voted the Congress in? What is his opinion on Goan Inquisition? Well, he did explain the Goan Inquisition, and he says that a lot of atrocities were committed. Some people were forced to take their temples and go away along with their murtis, and that's what is being debated in the Goan Assembly now, whether they should be allowed to come back to the places where the original shrine stood and reclaim that place. Somebody, of course, would have occupied that area now, so you have to compensate that person. So a lot of small things like that, or big things. We don't know what this is. So see, remember that all of Bharat, Akhanda Bharat, was Hindu, Sanatani. And every time there was an invasion, you had a part of your limb being cut off. They were taken away as slaves, especially the women, and they were also forcibly converted, if not killed. So India is beginning to pick itself up again, and this process needs to be as quick as possible so that India can move as a nation and go back to leading the world in its spirituality the way it was some hundreds of years ago. AMS, when BJP government dumped Nupur Sharma, perhaps Hindus are skeptical about BJP protecting. And Savio just came back. Savio, you want to finish that? Let's go to the next question, and that's the last question, because really somebody's out there to catch us. Nation or religion first? Go ahead.
Okay, so many people within the Christian community contribute to nation building. Many Christians contribute to nation building. There are many who put nation first as well. We just need to make more examples of them. We need to go out into the audience and
it's very scratchy.
Can you hear me now?
No, it's very scratchy. Kar, like a paper being like this. Like this.
Okay.
It's very scratchy. Yeah, you may want to disconnect and reconnect once. Almost there, guys. Last two questions to be answered. He's coming back. Sometimes technology can throw a curveball. By the way, if you're wondering what a curveball is, that's a baseball expression.
Now is it better?
For a ball that curves. Yes.
Okay. Sorry. So primarily Christians contribute to nation building. I think it's important for Christians to work towards stronger representatives in parliaments and assemblies around the country. I think it's important for Christians to, come out and support the development agenda for the country, and to also, if they have their fears and concerns, to allow for the BJP leaders to know and work together to correct it, because everybody wants the nation to grow at the end of the day. I think the Christians too. So that's the first way forward. Nation is always first, religion is second. And I'm sure the Christian community will learn that.
I'm sorry, I think the voice is still terrible. We'll have to call it quits at this point of time. Thank you so much, Savio.
Can you hear me now?
No, we can hear you, but there's an overriding scratching sound. There is a noise that are also creeping in, and that is quite loud. So viewers, I'm sorry we are not able to finish this program. We have a couple more unanswered questions, but the sound is just awful. We're going to try one more time, and if it doesn't work, then we'll call it a program. He's trying to rejoin. We need to know what exactly is going wrong, and that's very difficult to do in a very limited time. Reconnect is one way, but we never know if that's going to fix the problem or not. Okay, here we go.
There should be better.
Yeah, something. It is better now. Yeah.
Something.
Next question, please. Let's finish up. Last question. Santosh wants to know, fake historians have suppressed the fact that Topu Sultan ordered the forced march of 60,000 Mangalore Christians towards Srirangapatana. Most people died. Archaeological remains found. Is it true?
I don't have an answer to that question because I don't know. And I don't answer questions I don't have a knowledge of, but I'll get back to you on that.
Yeah. As Sai Engineer SSS, if dialogues are made by BJP with the Christian community, how open the common Christians will be to it? As per my belief, Muslims are more hard-headed than, but I don't have any idea of Christians.
Christians, the main problem is fear. Christians are not trying to dominate. In by and large, Christians don't try to dominate this particular, they don't want to dominate the Indian country. Okay? Christians are very much a part of India. There was a time when you had Portugal and you had Britain that were predominantly Christian countries, but of different denominations, that wanted to bring its religious indoctrination into India. But Hinduism, Sanatan Dharma prevailed, and the Christians also prevailed. They have lived harmoniously for years together. They will continue to live harmoniously for years together. Conversion is an issue, and it needs to be dealt with law.
Thank you so much, Savio. I think, again, the scratchiness has come back in. I think we'll now give up. This is getting a little difficult to manage. It's like a fan going. And
all right.
That's okay.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Namaskar.
Okay.